What's up, everybody? It's Colby Cheese here, and I'm going to bring you a first look of the new champion Thresh from the public beta environment. And this guy sounds like he's going to be some kind of crazy water monster, but he's actually more like the Grim Reaper, because he will actually harvest the souls of the dead in order to gain power for himself. So he's a really tanky ability power support champion when it comes down to it. And the reason for this is his passive. He doesn't actually gain magic resist or armor per level, but instead, whenever a small creep dies, there's a chance they'll drop a soul, and then a big creep or champion always drops souls, and those souls will give 1 ability power, 1 magic resist, and 1 armor for each soul that drops. Now, his Q ability has about 3 different functions, and the first one is a passive that does additional damage on his auto attacks based on the amount of souls that he's picked up, plus up to 200% of his attack damage at max level. And the way that works is the more you don't attack things, the more that passive will start to stack up, and the next attack will obviously do the maximum amount of damage, and then after that just a minimum amount if you continue to auto attack. So it's similar to Ash's passive in that way, but it makes it much more powerful for him to be a support because of that as well. And then he can actually activate his Q ability to fire off this really long range slow projectile similar to a blitzcrank hook, but slower and longer. And when it hits somebody, it will stun them for 1.5 seconds while also pulling them into him just slightly. It won't pull him all the way to him, but it'll give him 2 short tugs, is what I like to see it as. And if you actually activate it again shortly after you land it, you can pull yourself to that person, so it'll be similar to a Leona E ability. So pretty interesting spell overall. It's kind of hard to land, but it's very rewarding if you learn to use it correctly. At first I thought it was kind of awkward because I was like, damn it doesn't pull them all the way to me, this is crappy, but it's actually really nice. Okay, his W is this lantern that you can actually toss out, and yes, it does give vision in bushes that you place it in. And if anyone goes near that lantern on your team, they gain a pretty decent shield, which scales on your ability power as well. And the cool thing about this lantern is that if one of your allies actually clicks on the lantern, they will be teleported to you. So you can place that lantern, let's say you're about to go engage somebody, you can throw that lantern at your AD carry and then run up and engage on somebody with your Q and pull yourself to them, and then they can teleport to you and they can go in for the engage in that particular situation. Or let's say your carry gets in a bad situation and you're in a good spot, you can throw that lantern to them, they can jump to you to safety. So a lot of good utility with that, but overall I maxed that one first because it's like an awesome shield. His E ability is this small line AoE that will actually push or it will pull people a short distance depending on which direction that you cast it. So if you cast it behind you, you can pull people to you, and then cast in front of you to push them away. And it's about the distance of the Maokai Q that he hits. So it's not very far, but it is fairly useful, and it's an interrupt as well, so that's cool. And finally, his ultimate is pretty cool. It creates a pentagon around yourself, and anybody that actually hits one of the 5 walls of that pentagon will break that wall, and it does damage to them, and it slows them by about 99%. And it says 99% because they can still move just a little bit. And anyways, anyone else that hits the walls after that first wall is broken will take half slow and half damage. At first it was kind of confusing because I didn't realize that it was only cast around himself, and I noticed some of the other Thresh players were trying to cast it onto people and they were like, whoa, what the heck, it cast it on top of myself. But it's really cool because you can land your Q and pull yourself to an enemy team and then cast that little pentagon and make everyone take a lot of damage by trying to walk out of that area. And so it makes for a pretty cool spell overall. Now what I found is that he becomes really strong late game. I was actually 1v1ing the enemy carry quite a bit as Thresh, and that's because he again gets a lot of ability power as the game goes on, and if you just build really tanky and with a lot of health and shielding, it's really hard to do a lot of damage to you, and your auto attacks do hit fairly hard as well because of the passive from his Q once you max that out. So pretty cool champion overall. He does feel a little bit wonky with his Q and his E until you get used to it. And as far as the lantern for your allies, they are going to have to get used to using that as well. So I think it's one of those champions that's going to be pretty damn strong in the hands of a good, competent player. Whereas people who aren't used to him are probably not going to have as much success. But after about 3 games, I was actually already getting used to him, so I think it won't be that bad overall. Anyways, I am definitely looking forward to playing him on the final build whenever they release him and fix all the bugs that are currently in the public beta. So I'll see you around for that one. Again, if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe and join my crew. I'll see you around for the next one. This is Kobe Cheese. Peace out.